Lawmakers in Minnesota have finally decided upon an off-ramp for their state eviction moratorium. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of the state of Minnesota, and it's about how they have decided to slowly ease down their eviction moratorium and then get things back into normal. But before I get into that article, go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button, and maybe leave a comment down below, and I'll keep bringing you great articles about the eviction moratorium and other news that's of interest to landlords. So this article comes to us from care11.com, and it says, lawmakers agree to end eviction moratorium. Yeah, so this is all about their state eviction moratorium in the state of Minnesota. And they came up with some interesting solutions. They didn't want to just have, the eviction moratorium just end and then the eviction process just begin again. So they thought of a slow kind of downward off ramp to, make it a little bit easier on the tenants. But, let's read into it and see exactly what they're saying. House Democrats have forged an agreement with Senate Republicans to create an off-ramp from the eviction moratorium that has been in place throughout much of the COVID pandemic in Minnesota. If it's passed by lawmakers during the current special session and signed into law by Governor Tim Walz, it will end Walz's freeze on evictions and replace it with a 105-day transition to the landlord-tenant rules that applied before the pandemic began. Governor Walz put an eviction moratorium in place, and it has saved lives. We really believe that the bipartisan agreement to off-ramp that eviction moratorium is going to save livelihoods, both of renters and landlords, Representative Michael Howard of Richfield, one of the House members who's been negotiating with the Senate on the off-ramp bill, told CARE. Yeah, I do believe that they need to have a sort of off-ramp so that there isn't just a huge wave of evictions, but at the same time, they need to keep in mind that landlords, until they're able to get back to business as normal, they're going to be struggling, okay? There's going to be a lot of landlords who aren't going to be able to survive the financial impact of an additional 105 days and not being able to get rid of a non-paying, non-compliant, tenant who they just need to get rid of. We are creating an orderly timeline with enough space for renters to apply for rental assistance, and that assistance flows directly to landlords, which is a win-win. The detailed language of the compromise legislation hasn't been released yet, but legislators have revealed some of the key elements agreed to by all sides. Yeah, let's hope that they let us know exactly what these elements are, and I'll kind of tell you what I think of them. Landlords would be required to notify tenants at least 15 days in advance that they face eviction, be given a precise dollar amount of the back rent owed, and be supplied with information about how to apply for rental assistance programs available from state and local agencies. Okay, those things all seem fair, okay? Like a landlord already had to tell a tenant that, they were going to be facing eviction, okay? The landlord already had to tell the tenant exactly how much money they were owed, okay? I've never heard of a situation where the landlord didn't want to tell the tenant how much you owe. Like, I have no clue how much I owe. Listen, you owe me 10 grand. It's pretty simple. I'm going to give you an exact number. Okay. And as for letting the tenant know about applying for the rental assistance programs, I have no problem with that either, if that means that the tenant has to apply for it. Okay. And the tenant has to at least make an effort to get that rental assistance to the landlord. Representative Howard said that under terms of the deal, renters won't be rejected from their homes while they're waiting for their rental assistance claims to be processed. That extended protection in those situations would last until June 1st of 2022. Now, that there could be an issue, okay? So June 1st of 2022. Let's say you're going through the eviction process, right? You haven't applied for rental assistance yet, right? And then, at the very last minute, you put that application in. Now, as many people know in states throughout the country, I don't know exactly how it is in Minnesota, the rental assistance program application process is not exactly fast. In fact, in a lot of states, it's taking months before they can verify that the tenant and the landlord are even eligible, and then try to get that money distributed to them. So, if it ends up being that the tenant isn't even eligible for rental assistance, and then it still takes months to verify that could be months the landlord is out of rent. And what I don't want to see is them to drag their feet all the way until June 1st of 2022 before rejecting the tenant. Because that would just end up being, almost a year of not getting paid rent, an additional year. So, that could really screw over a landlord in the wrong situation. And I hope that's not what happens. I hope that they have their stuff together and that they're able to get that, rental assistance application approved or denied as quickly as possible so they can get that tenant either, out of there or get the landlord paid the rental assistance money. This is to ensure that there is communication, to ensure that both renters and landlords are working within the system to get rental assistance, and that they both come out on the other side of this with their heads above water. Minnesota State Housing Agency is accepting applications for rental assistance via the Rent Help MN website and mobile apps. The renter and the landlord both take part in the application process, but the money flows directly to the landlords who are owed the rent. Yeah, I like the fact that the money flows directly to the landlord. My biggest problem is that the renter and the tenant both have to be the ones to apply for this rental assistance, okay? My big issue is that if you're relying upon tenants to apply for this, tenants who are scamming, they're not applying. They don't care. They're just like, no, I'm not going to do that or whatever. Or I'm in an argument or disagreement with my landlord right now. I don't want to pay anything. I don't want to help my landlord in any way. We're just going to milk this until the very end, And so I've read many stories about where the tenants have done just that and refuse to apply, and the landlord still can't access that money, but at the same time can't evict that tenant. So what kind of situation creates that? It's really, you're talking about a business owner here who is being prevented from operating their business by the government, and then the government refusing to cooperate with that business owner by giving them just compensation. And that's just not right, okay? Hennepin, Ramsey, and Dakota County also have emergency rental assistance available through the Zero Balance Project, a collaboration that also includes the city of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Lawsuit filed. Minnesota Multi-Housing Association, the state's largest landlord group, filed a lawsuit against Governor Walz in U.S. District Court Monday in an effort to nullify his eviction moratorium, formerly known as Executive Order 2079. Our members and our residents have waited 15 months for some relief. It's regrettable. It's unfortunate, but it's the only option we felt we had, Cecil Smith, the group CEO, told reporters Tuesday. Every other business has had their restrictions lifted. We need them lifted on our industry. Yeah, that's it. We need the restrictions lifted. We need to return to business as normal. Okay, business as normal. Treating landlords as though they're not a business it's completely wrong. Okay, there's people whose 100% of their livelihood is dependent upon it, and it's a business just as much as running a restaurant is a business. Okay, if you shut a restaurant down, tell them that they can't make money, they can't operate, yet they still have to serve people and give them free food. They're just going to be losing money. And yeah, they need this to end. Okay, you can't just keep giving away free housing, and we can't be expected to be the social service provider for the homeless and the poor. That's just not the way that things are meant to be. Things are opening back up. The job market is returning to pre-pandemic levels. Everything is looking up. We need to get back to normal. And until we do so, all of this different stuff is just, it's the eviction moratorium is a joke. Okay, we need to get rid of it. Period. So yeah, if if they think this is a good idea, some of the things they cover in here, they're okay, but I don't agree with basically allowing tenants to be able to stay in the properties for another full year if they applied for rental assistance, because the problem is that the rental assistance can take a very long time to get to the people who need it, to the landlords, and that just means that's going to be months and months on end where they're not going to be getting rent. And even then, what other stipulations are going to be, attached to that money? We don't know yet. So, yeah, interesting article, but I hope that other states, they come up with a little bit better solution than this.